everyone, we're going to continue with measuring here and start looking at 2 and 3 dimensions. So things like area and volume. So for instance, a square mile is one way to measure the area of a state. So your area is 2 dimensions, okay? So you usually have a length and a width here if we're talking about like a rectangle. So the state's area is the region within its boundaries. Now, its population density is its population divided by its area. And we'll see an example like that later. So in this section, we're going to discuss measures for area and volume. And we're going to start with area. So again, for your area, you're looking at 2 dimensions here. So for instance, a square unit is just a square, each of whose sides is 1 unit in length. So we just say a square unit, meaning the units can be anything. So I just try to, these are supposed to be squares. Try to draw a quick picture here. So this could be 1 unit, and this could be 1 unit. So you have 1 square unit. So it literally forms a square. So if you're doing an inch, a 1 inch by 1 inch square would have an area of 1 inch squared. If you were doing centimeters, again, this is supposed to be a square here. 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter would have an area of 1 centimeter squared. So remember that for a rectangle, your area is length times width, or for a square, because the length and the width are the same, then you just have the sides squared. So here, again, if you're taking 1 centimeter times 1 centimeter, getting that side times side, then you have 1 centimeter squared for your units. So here's an example, and again, I apologize. This is supposed to be all squares, not rectangles, but you kind of get the idea, right? So it says, what is the area of the region shown below if each box represents 1 square unit? Okay, so 1 square unit is one of these boxes. So if you look here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 by 1, 2, 3. So we end up having a 3 by 4 square, or rectangle, excuse me, and we get 12 boxes altogether, right? So I can see 4, 8, and 12. So the answer here is just 12 square units. So when we're looking at area, we literally can count up the squares that are formed here. If we have 1 square is 1 square unit, then we can count up how many we have. Or if we have something that's relatively simple, like a rectangle, then you can do that same length times width formula that I think probably most of you have seen before. All right, so we're going to do the same thing again here. Really, the point of this is how to transfer between different measurements. So for the English system, we're talking about areas now. 1 square foot, and again, you see the notation here, is equal to 144 square inches. Notice that 144 is 12 squared, okay? So everything is being squared here. 1 square yard is equal to 9 square feet. Again, because 1 yard was, as a length was 3 feet, so when you square 3, you get 9. 1 acre, sorry, this notation should be A there. I don't know why that came in as S. So 1 acre is 43,560 square feet, or 4840, so 4,840 square yards. And 1 square mile is also equal to 640 acres. So again, this is some information that you may just want to write down, have on kind of a cheat sheet for chapter 9, just to have all these conversions ready. So after Alaska, Wyoming is the least densely populated state. That means you have more room for people. So the population of Wyoming is 568,158, and its area is 97,814 square miles. So the population density can be found by taking the population and dividing it by the area. So our population here, excuse me, is the 5,000. Sorry, my puppy stole my pen. The 568,158, and the area is 97,814. So if I go ahead and I divide those two values, let's see, I'm going to use a calculator here, and we're going to round, and we get about 5.8. So what this represents, remember, up here was people, and down here was square miles. So we have 5 0.8 people per square mile. So a lot of times we just write those out in words, but if you wanted to write it this way, 5.8 people per square mile, you can do that too. So you can see that, on average, in a 1 square mile radius, you only have about 6 people there. So it is not very densely populated, right? It's one of the most least densely populated states. So for population density, you're always taking your population divided by area, and then the units that you're left with would be people per square mile, typically in the English system. So your author wrote this text in Point Reyes National Seashore, which is 40 miles north of San Francisco. And the national park consists of 75,000 acres with miles of pristine surf-washed beaches, forested ridges, and bays bordered by white cliffs. It sounds lovely. How large is the national park in square miles? So we're starting with the acres. And we want to go to square miles. So if I go on the page before, I'm going to see if I have a conversion there to help me. So here I see that 640 acres is the same as 1 square mile. So I do have the conversion to help me, which is great. So I don't have to do it in middle step or anything. So I have my 75,000 acres. And again, I want to go towards square miles. So it says that 1 square mile is 640 acres. So I have 1 square mile is 640 acres. So the acres are going to cancel here. 75,000 times 1 is just 75,000 over 640. And again, this is going to be square miles when we're all done. So let me just get out my notes here. So we go ahead and we divide these. Let's see, we get about, again, rounding to the nearest whole here, 117 square miles. So we also have English and metric conversions as well. So again, just these are some key numbers that you'll want to have with you as you're working through problems. So 1 square inch is about the same as 6.5 square centimeters. 1 square foot is about the same as 0.09 square meters. 1 square yard is the same about 0.8 square meters. 1 square mile is the same about 2.6 square kilometers. And 1 acre is about the same as 0.4 hectare. So let's go ahead and do some conversions. So a property in Italy is advertised as $545,000. And we want to find the area of the property in acres instead. So again, the money for right now doesn't matter. We're just looking at the area. So I want to take those 6.8 hectares and I want to go towards acres. So I want the hectares on the bottom and the acres on the top. And I want to see if I have a conversion. I do. So 1 acre will be the same as 0.4. My units are going to cancel out. I'm left with 6.8 divided by 0.4. And again, the units that are left are going to be acres here. So let's see, we get exactly 17 acres. And then for B, what is the price per acre then? So our total price is 545,000. We're looking per acre. So we're dividing that by 17. And we're going to get about $32,059 per acre.